There are so many stories that they try to memory hole that they want us to forget. Although it's important to us, there are so many issues in life that I feel should be at top of our memory. But for some way, some reason, somehow, the tech companies, the tech oligarchs, the digital kings of our lives are able to take those ideas that we want to discuss and throw them back into the back burner and make it forget. It's like it never happened. But we at the Matt Kim podcast, we as a free thinker army will never allow that to happen. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to the Matt Kim podcast. I am your host, Matt Kim, joined by my co-host, Mr. Dancing Peter Saddington.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Dancing Hebrews. Smash the like button. Glad you guys are here. Join us on this amazing episode. We got a Discord, we got a Twitters, we got the Telegrams, we got all sorts of stuff. Make sure that you smash the like button. We're here. We're ready to go.
The only way we can grow is if people share the content. We cannot rely on the oligarchs, the tech oligarchs to help us. We don't have any help or wind behind us. Therefore, if you want to see us grow, you want to stick around, you want us to get the message out there, definitely share with your friend, share with your cousin, share with your brother, share with your sister, tell your mom, your baby mama, even the side chick. Let them all know.
Side chick. I almost want to ask you about a story of meeting a side chick, but I'll leave that for the behind the scenes and the paid subscribers. Oh, we don't have any paid subscribers because we don't make any money, Matt.
Maybe we should do the stories that we can't tell. Because I have some stories I can't tell. I have a lot of stories I can't tell.
Brother. Endless war chest of amazing stories and people that he's met that he can only talk to me about before we hit the record button.
And Peter's like, can we talk about it today? Can we talk about it? I don't think I can I'm not the guy to blow up people's spot.
Fair enough. But true story, right before we got on this, he was unloading the doobies on me. I like what he was saying. Maybe we'll think about it. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the Discord community or Telegram community whether you think whether there is interest to get behind the scenes access with Matt Kim.
And the funniest is when people leave in the comments going, check it in, Saar. I love that.
There are guys checking in. For all of you guys who are just joining us, make sure you check in Saar. Actually, I would love to see over 100 comments of checking in Saar on this video. Let's make it happen, guys.
And every once in a while, they'll be like, I don't get it. What's Saar? Like, I can't explain it to you.
You just have to go back and look at the other episodes.
You just got to know. And maybe someone will be nice and let them know.
Oh, I almost feel like the behind the scenes access should be called like Saar.
Behind the Saar.
Whoa, behind the Saar, bro. I love it. Behind the scenes, behind the Saar. Let us know in Discord. Let us know in Telegram. Again, smash the like button. Share it with your baby mama. Comment, checking in Saar. We're going to be looking for it today.
I even had people say, hey, Matt, I'm Indian. I live in UK. Checking in Saar.
Yep, yep.
People understand that we're not racist. We're racist, but not like in a negative, hateful, racist way. You know, I think it's okay to notice differences between people. We've had this discussion that calling out stereotypes, it's fine because stereotypes exist for a reason.
Yeah.
So if you get offended, sorry, not the show for you.
What most people don't realize is this is not only a truth-telling and truth-asking podcast, but we are also kind of like a humorous, kind of comical podcast, just like the comics. Because if you're an artist and you're let's say a comic, if you can't joke about people, then the world is done, right? So we don't mind joking about people and seeing the differences in different species.
Maybe we should put in the header, comedy channel. Because if you're considered comedy, you can say a lot of things.
Yes, you can.
If you're considered a serious podcast, like, oh yeah, I can't believe you made a joke about the SARS.
If you're news, where's your verification of that? Yeah, fuck off. Yeah,
I can't believe Peter just did a salute on the serious show.
You got it. So we'll make it a comedy entertainment. I know Matt doesn't like me doing that, but man, people have been noticing and people love it when I give out the heart of power.
It's like Power Rangers for him.
I want to do it every day. I do it in public now.
You know,
did you see my picture? I did it in public the other day. I
did see that. Yeah. You know, one of the Power Rangers, OG Power Rangers, follows me on Instagram.
No.
Yeah, I swear to God, an OG Power Ranger. I forget which one it was.
Oh, you don't know?
I forget.
You don't know if it's the red or the black or the green?
Maybe it's the green.
Wasn't the green the black guy?
No. It wasn't black. It was a white guy.
Was it a white guy?
Maybe blue
Maybe blue.
or red. I don't know. Because I saw it, and for some reason, I like clicked the profile, and it had like the pictures of his old Power Ranger. I'm like, dude, an OG Power Ranger follows me. It's like the biggest flex ever, by the way.
Is it really?
I watched a lot of Power Rangers when I grew up.
Or would you be embarrassed of that?
No,
no
shame.
You'd own that?
I have no shame in my life.
You would own it.
Zero shame.
You would be like, hey, I was the red Power Ranger back in the day.
Yeah, it's gay as fuck, but whatever. I own it. What am I gonna do? Hide my childhood? It is what it is.
Hide the scars behind these eyes? Well, if Matt was a Power Ranger, I think you would be the black Power Ranger.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
Why gotta be the black one?
Because
Not there's anything wrong with the black guy.
there's nothing wrong with I think you'd be because you'd
Why?
be like the black sheep. You'd be like the
I don't remember the Power Rangers at all, actually. I just know I watched it.
Now, I'm asking him questions like he's sophisticated about this
No,
stuff.
I'm not sophisticated.
Moving on.
I really like Thundercats. That was my favorite.
Thundercats ho.
So, before we start the episode, you had an amazing weekend.
Oh, thanks for
Right?
remembering.
You had an amazing weekend. You were down in Miami. You were racing as a part of your Garage ID.
Yes.
And I don't know. I really think it's interesting what you've been doing over the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months.
Yes.
And maybe it's a good opportunity to let people know because I feel like we should be sharing what we're working on in the background with the people because maybe that gives them a context of who we are, the perspectives in life that we have, and the idea that we are not only just shit talkers on the internet, but we actually do real things in life.
That's true. So I'll make it short, but everybody out there, I had an amazing weekend, a life bucket list checked off this weekend. It is, if not everyone knows, I've been in racing my entire life. It's kind of got it in the blood. My son races full time. He's on his 5th season as a Carter, national racing, club racing, just amazing. And for me, it's always been a dream to have my own race team at a professional race. And we spent all of 2024 putting that together with Garage ID, which is one of our investments. And we launched it this last weekend, 4 full days at the FARA USA Miami 500. We had 2 cars, number 55 is Spec Miata and 56 Spec Miata. We had Center Smith in the 55 and Todd Burris in the 56. 17 car grid, 3 races, endurance, 30 minutes each. And Todd finished P3 in our first inaugural race as a team, and Center Smith finished 7th. And just so proud of them. People don't realize how much work it takes to put these cars together and get them race worthy, and then race well. And one of the other things that we were announcing there, which is really why I want to talk about this, is we launched the Collegiate Racing Series. So
and no collegiate racing series for racing exists right now.
Never been done.
Which is crazy, actually.
Which is crazy. So people who turn on the tube, turn on the TV, they log in and they see NCAA basketball or NCAA soccer or NCAA, football, or they're swimming. But you've never turned on the tube or a YouTube and seen NCAA collegiate racing. And so we invested in this late last year. It's blown up. We have over 400 universities globally signed up for this racing series. Crazy. The amount of momentum and growth and interest is absolutely outstanding. So for everybody out there that's listening, here's my CTA. If you're into racing, you have a student or a young student who's going into college and is looking to get into racing and racecraft, we have an entire new ladder system called the Collegiate Racing Series, where you get training, you get track time, and you get your FIA license so that you can race in 2026. Go to Drive, DRIVE, DriveCRS.com. We have over 1,000 people showing up to our February 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time discovery call. We have investors, high net worth, alumni, faculty, tons of students, vendors, partners, people all in motor racing. It's going to be an amazing time. So go to drivecrs.com. I'd love to see you on February 20th in just a week from this air. And if you're into college racing or if you're into racing, I'd love to see you there.
It's really interesting that often the best ideas are the ones that are so obvious. And you're like, I can't believe no one did this.
Every single person we talk to that's into racing and it has a university that they're attached to is like, oh my gosh, I want UF or Georgia Tech or Clemson or UVA or wherever they represent. I want them to win the Collegiate Racing Series in 2020. Of course.
Racing is so big throughout the world. And let's be real, the Netflix show,
Drive to Survive, yeah.
they really changed the racing market for the world.
Oh, no doubt.
Right?
No doubt.
Before them, it was like a fringe sport that people watched, and then the show came out, and everyone was like, holy shit, this is a lot of fun.
Yes, and what they did, if I can give a little bit of context, I'll make it short. The old CEO of F1 in 2015 took F1 down. Like the numbers were going down from 2004 to 2015 or so. And that's when Liberty Media bought F1. And they realized that people are not interested in the racing. They're interested in the human aspect of it. And so for them, they started focusing on the drivers and driver profiles and driver narratives and stories. And obviously this grew to what we now see is Formula One Drive to Survive. And that has absolutely just blown up the racing world. We're having the highest growth in racing from all the way from karting, youth racing, all the way to up to adult racing. One of the guys who was in one of our sister cars is in his 60s. He's driving Spec Miata, Pro Spec Miata. And so we are in the greatest wave of growth in racing that we've ever seen in our lifetime. And I'm so glad to be a part of it.
Oh, side note, I should hook you up with Danica Patrick.
I mean, yes, I'd love to talk with her. If she wants to come and help teach and talk to the thousands and thousands of students.
Yeah,
then
that just makes sense. It
We'll
seems
do
like
it.
right up our alley.
We'll do. If you're into iRacing, I just, and I don't mind saying this because they gave me permission. We are partnering with iRacing, the #1 sim racing system out there in the world. And with your Collegiate Racing Series membership, you will get access to iRacing as well. So for those who know that, that's a big deal.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you,
This is
sir.
pretty amazing. This is pretty cool. And again, if anyone's into racing or wants to be a part of it, wants to know, definitely check it out. We don't really do sponsorships here, but it's not a sponsorship if it's your own shit.
No, it's, I put money. It's my money that's going into this. This was an.
I don't get a cut, by the way.
Ain't nobody getting a
There's
cut.
no money here. for
This was an
me.
angel investment, so this is money out of my back pocket to make this thing happen. But man, we have so much momentum. We have so much interest. If I could say anything, if I could manifest something amazing, I think we're going to raise millions of dollars in the next 30 days.
Awesome. Congratulations, Peter. It's really, really cool. Okay, getting on to the first topic of the day. There is this issue that I ran into maybe a couple weeks ago. And I think people were talking about USAID. Everyone's talking about USAID.
Yeah.
And someone in a comment section in a post said, if you're not thinking about SFFAS 56, you guys aren't serious.
Oh yeah, I saw your video about that.
Well, yeah, and someone posted that randomly, like no-name account. I've never heard of him before. I can't even go back and find it. And I was like, wait, what is SFFAS 56?
Yeah.
It's like, I've never heard of this before. So I Googled it. And nobody, no news outlet, no like podcaster, no journalist, no one's ever talked about it.
So explain to us, Matt. What is this USFF 50 whatever?
Yeah, 56. So I was like, okay, like this is really interesting. So I got into like ChatGPT and I got into all the AIs and I started digging around, like going deep now. It is a new accounting standard that was placed in 2018. So the United States government changed their accounting standard. 3 people got an opportunity to vote, Mnuchin being one of them. And it changed how America does their accounting. Basically what it is if you consider a program to be confidential, that helps national security, or is something that has to be covert or black ops, then you're able to reorganize your books to hide that money. So the United States government has their regular set of books that they show the public that if you audit that you get to see. And then they have this auxiliary set of books that's a real set of books. Meaning you will never know where they spend their money because so much money is hidden away. SFAS 56. It is a new way to change the way it is. So basically you can omit records, you can omit payments, you can reshuffle your books in order to hide the money that's been spent. So this is what they used over the last however many years. And before they made it official and legal, prior to that, they were doing illegally. So if you remember before 9/11, Donald Rumsfeld goes on, hey, we're missing $2.3 trillion on September 10th, and then September 11th, the buildings blow up.
Yep.
That $2.3 trillion is not missing.
Just poof into the air.
They're just allocating it to secret programs that you're not allowed to know about. In 2018, they made the hiding of that money legal.
Okay, so if I could repeat everything you said, is in 2018 they made the obscuring of financial transparency a legal thing that you can do.
Yes.
You can now hide money legally.
Yes. And Congress did not vote on it. No one had to approve it. There was no media coverage of it. There was no public debate regarding it. Actually, they memory hold the entire thing so that no one even knows it exists, which is crazy because they literally changed the accounting standard of the United States of America to hide money legally.
So what happens to all the illegal funding from 2017 backwards?
Gone.
There's no back testing. There's no analysis. There's no rescission, which is a fancy word of clawback, of getting money back.
So to date, people can track about 30 to 40 trillion dollars that the United States is missing.
That's ridiculous, dude.
That's what you can track. So really, it's probably like 50, 60, 70 trillion dollars. Our national debt is $36 trillion.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you might need to multiply
Are
that.
we in debt? How can you say you were $36 trillion in debt and we're paying the interest on it to other banks and other people in other countries when we have 30 to 40 trillion dollars of assets hidden away?
Well,
why are we paying interest on that? Why are we paying tax on that? Why are we covering for that debt? And why are we in debt every year? Just last year alone, the Pentagon could not account for $1.9 trillion of their assets.
oh, yeah. Well, it's important that albino kids in Nigeria get trans surgeries, bro.
And everyone's so up in arms about this $40 million a year, $40 billion a year that the USA does. Yes, it's corrupt. We've talked about this. It's really corrupt. They fund weird shit in Nigeria. They fund $250 million to Tel Aviv University.
There are so many entities, and everyone's seen the news coverage now, so we don't need to get into the details, but the amalgam is very simple. There are organizations who literally rely on American taxpayer dollars that are outside of America to survive. This is ridiculous. Why should the BBC? Why should trans education and lesbian underwater basket weaving be promoted over in these other countries using our tax dollars? It's completely ridiculous. And so Doge, as an unofficial system, they're basically able to read everything, but they're not able to change anything. And so what we're seeing is this massive malfeasance that is frankly on both sides of the aisle.
Yes.
People are all, the right is all like, oh, the liberals, the Democrats, they're getting, yes, peace. They're probably getting the lion's share. But let's not forget the other side of the coin. Your favorite influencer, your favorite alt-right news podcaster, they've all been paid off. They all have received money from U.S. aid.
Which is crazy, the amount of money that's spread around. But again, as corrupt as that is, it's like $40 billion.
Where it's so crazy how much money we're printing and where it's going, because it's clearly not going to us.
$40 trillion is in a magnitude not even the same game.
It's unfathomable how much money has been spent on useless things that aren't affecting and making American lives better.
If we could account for all the black money in America, we would not be in debt. We would not have to spend so much of our annual budget to service that debt.
Yep.
Who's benefiting from that?
Only the rich.
It's crazy.
It's only the rich, brother. So what? Now that you've uncovered this, I guess what's the recompense? How are we going to solve this issue now that it's legal to hide monies into black ops and into classified projects?
That's why they use that classified label so liberally.
Oh yeah,
everything they call classified.
Everything's classified.
They literally have a stamp and they go around, oh, here's a program, classified, because now that it's considered classified, they can hide the money.
They have no accountability.
And where does this extra money come from? They're literally just printing it.
Yes, they are.
They're like printing money, giving it to these black programs, and we have no idea. They're just running that money printer.
I remember reading something years ago about how much money is going into like the UFO and like that. It's like billions of dollars as well. And so you have to wonder as a citizen of America, when are we as citizens of America going to have transparency around spend? Do you think that's ever going to happen, or is Doge kind of like the thing that's going to help get us there? Are we going to ever get to true transparency?
Well, the only way, number one, is that they have to rescind or revoke this SFFAS 56 accounting standard. They have to.
Right now.
They have to.
Do it now.
And they could do it, I believe they could do it by presidential executive order,
Okay.
or Congress can vote to revoke it.
Good.
Okay. I made this video and post and put it on Instagram first, and other people took the idea and started making videos also.
Yep.
So on Instagram, it's probably got, between the various videos, millions of views.
Yep.
I put it on X, and I've been pushing it on X. Like, why is no one talking about it? Why is no one talking about it? It's got like 3,000 or 4,000 shares, and people are talking about it. Not one major account or political account has engaged with it or reposted it or quoted it or talked about it. Not one. It's like 400,000 views. The people want to talk about it. And that's the thing that's broken about this tech-driven, these social media platforms that we're on.
Yeah, well, they are the platforms, and they are the masters of the platform.
If the digital kings and the digital jesters decide that this is not a topic that's important or we want you to talk about, they'll just let it decay and memory hole, and it never happened. That's what they're doing to this issue, which is crazy because if enough people start talking about it, if enough political influencers start talking about it, if enough larger accounts brought it to attention, like I think like 500 people tagged Elon and Trump in this post.
I almost feel like the Matt Kim podcast, the Matt Kim show, is the single light on the hill, willing to ask the tough questions about things that we already know are going to be censored, things that we know are going to be blackballed, things that we know that we're going to shadow ban, and the things that are going to be memory hold. Like, if anything, we are that light of saying, look, this is important to talk about. Why aren't people talking about this? And if I may, just to kind of pat ourselves on our own back, Matt Kim has been exceptional at bringing up topics that most aren't talking about. And so I love this theme that we're willing to bring up some of the stuff that's in the fray, but it gets memory hold and locked down and censored. So I think this is a really important thing because at the end of the day, it's our money, right? Because I really want to stop being the bad guy here, the bag holder and the bad guy.
It needs to get out there. They need to address it. They need to figure out, like, what the hell are they doing? And the fact that they are deliberately going out of their way to make sure that no one talks about it is crazy.
So is Elon the bad guy?
I mean, if you know that this exists and Trump knows this exists and all the political podcasters now know that it exists and the major channels and pages, it's got like 400,000 views. A lot of those guys follow me.
Oh, yeah.
So they've all read this. They've all seen me talk about this.
Yeah.
They've all seen the video. The fact that nobody, I even actually DM'd it to Joe Rogan. He watched it. So he knows about it. Tucker knows about it. These guys know about this issue. Why does no one want to talk about this accounting standard that was changed without us knowing that makes it legal to hide money? That's crazy. It's really similar to Obama and the Smith-Mundt Act and the revision of that.
Yeah.
Right? Where that the government is allowed to propagandize people.
Yep. You got it. No one's upset about that, by the way.
Well, people are upset.
Well, not enough people are upset.
It's such a big deal. And it's one of those issues that because all the oligarchs are complicit to and they benefit from, that they memory hold that so that you can't get upset about it.
You have to cast a blind eye to that, man. You can't mess with my revenue stream, brother.
It is legal in the United States for the government to use your tax dollars to propagandize you and change your opinion on matters.
Yeah, it's kind of like
this is an actual law in this country.
That's why we have Stephen Colbert dancing in a syringe saying, you need to get the clot shot. You need to make sure that you get this mRNA experimental drug.
And they're like, USAID is propagandizing people. Yes, because it's legal to do so.
Yeah.
Stopping the program within USAID does nothing. You need to change the law that makes it possible to be done. But no one wants to deal with the fact that the Smith-Mundt Act allows it to happen. No one wants to care that this shady accounting protocol allows this to happen. And they want to focus on, oh yeah, but like $20 million for like trans surgeries in Nigeria. Like, oh, boo-hoo. You're not solving the problem.
Nope. Not solving the problem. It almost sounds like, Matt, you have this chip on your shoulder.
It's so annoying because people think there's the tech oligarchs and the government is so good at giving you these tiny wins. They give you the crumbs while they eat the cake.
Yes. Yeah, but we're under the table, Saar, and we're saying, "Oh, give me the scraps. Give me the scraps. I'll just take the scraps, and it's okay. No problems, right? Enjoy your cake as long as I feel like I'm entertained and I'm, feeling good about it, right? I mean, that's the whole idea. They give us just enough to keep us on the hook, but we're never satisfied.
Nothing will ever change unless you correct and modify the core fundamentals of what's wrong.
So would you say, if I were to create a formula, we have these issues that need to be talked about. There's a middleware platform, it's called social media, where these issues that need to be talked about are memory holed and censored. So it sounds like, Matt, a new technological platform should probably be built so that the tough and right ideas flow to the top, so that people are notified that these are important things to talk about, so that we can make and exact the change, because change will never happen unless two things happen first. People need to know about it, and people need to be upset enough to want to change. That's when change happens.
Correct. There has to be fundamental change. We have to have discussions about the issues that actually matter. And the idea that they weaponize technology and the algorithm and these influencer networks to memory hole topics and debate topics that we care about is criminal. And we are working on a platform to hopefully solve that.
Wait. Hold your horses, man.
We'll go deeper into that next week.
Wait. What just crossed my eardrum? This Matt saying that we're working on a solution to this? What, Matt?
We will have a brand new platform that is a cross between maybe, I hate to compare it to other things, but maybe a cross between a X and a Reddit, where it's a discussion forum where you can discuss important topics in community base. And we're really close to that being done. It should be announced soon. And I think you guys will really enjoy the name.
Can I writhe my hands in anticipation
but
like
we'll
dirt?
We'll get into that deeper next week when we launch. We'll launch. We're gonna launch next week.
Launch next week.
Yeah, we'll launch
Jesus, take the wheel. I love the sound of this, my friend.
And we'll slowly be migrating all of our communities there.
Oh, you guys didn't even know you were going to be blessed today, man. Matt?
But I really think that's a problem, because if a third party came out and said, my platform is that I'm going to remove the Smith, I'm going to repeal the Smith-Mundt Act, meaning they can't propagandize you any longer. And I'm going to change the accounting standard so that everything is transparent.
Fair game.
You could actually win on that platform, because you were talking about real change. Not, we're going to ban DEI. Like, great, thank you.
Yeah.
But you didn't change anything, because they can just propagandize you with another DEI.
Yes, another version of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
They just give you the little ones like, we took DEI away. Great. But remove the ability where it makes it legal for them to do that to you.
Yes, actually make the change. Don't placate my senses and say, well, I'm glad you noticed that. Feel good about it. Here's a little crumb win. No, we need real change to happen.
Yes, the enacting of women in men's sports and the government's complicity in it is not the problem. It's the fact that it's illegal for them to do that.
Oof. Since Matt has already made it abundantly clear that he's not going into the political arena, it seems like creating or building a product or solution or service probably is more up your alley.
I mean, it's crazy. Because again, we as a conservative, super conservative, we're like, yes, they got rid of DEI. No more pronouns.
Yeah, we won.
You didn't win shit.
Yeah.
Because any future administration can do it with something else later.
You didn't win shit.
You didn't solve the problem.
Nope.
You just put you took the big dam and you put a little piece of paper on it, and any given moment, it'll
Yes.
and it'll do it again.
I saw a meme that was so true. It was a screenshot of multiple high-level government officials, and the screenshots of like 15 of them was their LinkedIn profile. And what it showed in the first picture was, Sandra White, she, her, he, hims, they, them, zers, da, da, da. And then the second screenshot, and it's just like director of DEI. The second screenshot is their new LinkedIn profile, and it doesn't have any of the pronouns. And now they're not director of DEI. They are community director. You hadn't won shit. They're all still propagating the same shit. They're just not allowed to say they, them on their profile anymore.
It changed nothing.
Nothing changed because they're still going to be exacting the same bullshit in these companies, in the government, and more waste. It doesn't matter. You think you won the battle? You didn't win anything. All you did was you won the fact that they can't put they, them, zer on their signature on emails.
Celebrate the small wins because they are wins. Remove DEI, it's a win. Remove the trans shit within
you're
military.
You're saying the cancer's still there, though.
Yeah, celebrate the small things, but once you're done celebrating, make it quick, get back to fucking work, and let's deal with the core issues that creates these things.
The policies.
Because unless you deal with the core issues at hand, these little wins, you're just patchwork.
And frankly, you're not moving the ball forward either.
No. Because again, another administration is going to come in or at a shift in Congress or whatever, anything can change at any given point. You have to remove their ability to propagandize you and steal your money.
Man, I mean, if you even take that out of context, if someone were just to clip that, we have to stop the ability for them to propagandize you and to take your money.
Steal your money.
Steal your money. Even out of context, that makes a lot of sense, Matt.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
You'd remove those two things because the federal government at this point has too much power. I'm extremely federalist. I do not like the idea of the federal government dictating everything that we have. No. It's really dangerous.
No, it's not possible.
A friend said to me the other day, the way that United States is operating currently and right now, they are doing China better than China.
Well played.
And people are like, wait, what are you talking about? Dude, United States is operating in a way that we accuse China of operating.
Yeah.
But they're doing it harsher and bigger than China is. Well, not saying what I think what China is doing is correct, but we are doing what they're doing at a greater scale at this point.
And I would say, if I could fill in a little bit of the gray here, not that I know what the answer is that China was like primo numero uno in terms of society, controlled society, digital ID, making sure that there's no, cashless society, right? They were the preeminent ones that created the use case. America is so good at taking these types of ideas and adding gasoline to the fire.
Yes.
So that's what you're saying, is that while China did it, there's a lot of flaws in it. There's a lot of holes in it, a lot of lessons learned. And so what America is saying is, fuck all the lessons learned. Thanks for all your discovery and paying for discovery. We're going to do it even better now.
They're like, oh, China, they propagandize their population.
What do you think we're doing?
Oh, they control who can buy what, and they give favor to people within the administration.
What do you think we're doing?
It's the same shit.
Yeah, we're just projecting what we're already doing, onto the world. It's like, oh, China bad, Orange Man bad. No, actually, we're doing the exact same thing, and actually, we're even better at it.
No, it's very different because we call our version democracy.
Ah, yes. I feel safe and warm and fuzzy
and
now.
Capitalist.
Ah, yes. I feel like we have opportunity now.
But it's the same. It actually operates really similar.
Oh, you're saying that when I look down, I still see shackles around my ankles?
And, I was talking to a friend today he's like, America's really poor.
Yeah.
He's like, go to middle America, go down to the bad areas. People are so poor.
Yeah.
And we just give hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars to all these causes. I saw that clip of Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson, and he's like, they can't account for half the money that they received.
Yep.
The $170 billion, they can't account for $100 billion of them. And what they're doing is actually they're taking that money and they're funding the cartel at the border.
Yes. Yes.
They can't account for 100 of the $170 billion they got. Zelensky said that.
I don't know how it's functionally possible, but we now know that there are legal means to obfuscate and hide transactions.
But in the same breath, the people within this country, within our borders, are living in abstract poverty.
Oh, no doubt.
They are literally living paycheck to paycheck, and their paychecks are like $1,000.
Yeah.
They can't go more than 60 days.
Yeah.
People are eating like just the worst quality foods. We create the worst quality foods and literally are poisoning them.
Mm-hmm.
And we give them just enough aid so that they don't revolt.
Yes. Just enough.
Just enough. So how is this better than what other countries that we criticize do?
The answer is we're not.
And we're like, oh, no, we hate dictators. No, we don't actually hate dictators.
We actually love them.
Bukele is actually a dictator.
He's a benevolent dictator, is what they'd say.
I thought we didn't like dictators.
Well, when the dictators are making you feel good and you feel like things are getting better, then frankly, you'll take the devil you know opposed to the devil
Most
you
people,
don't.
because the conservative side, celebrate Bukele like he's the greatest thing. He comes to all the conservative conferences. He's at the RNC. He gives the speeches. He talks about the speeches. He adopted, a Bitcoin for El Salvador. He's like this young guy wears his hat backwards. Like everyone loves Bukele.
Yep.
Most people don't know that at his in El Salvador, a president can only serve one term.
Mm-hmm.
He has control of the Supreme Court, and he has control of the entire legislative body.
Mm-hmm.
He removed that law, and now he can run in perpetuity forever.
Yes.
He declared himself a dictator, but because he's our dictator, it's okay. So the United States actually has no problem with non-democracy. They only don't like non-democracy that doesn't account for them. So this idea of democracy versus communism, democracy versus dictatorships, like that's the biggest psyop ever.
Yeah.
They actually don't care at all.
No, it's just a candy wrapper overlay to the realities that under the candy wrapper is still a bunch of dog shit. That's what it is. They placate it and say, oh, we're a capitalist democracy. Everybody has opportunity. No, actually, the kings and the rulers and the tech oligarchs still have power over all of us. It doesn't matter.
It's crazy.
It doesn't matter what they call it. They can call it whatever they want. At the end of the day, has grocery prices gone up? Have things got worse for Americans? The answer is yes. That's the bottom line. So why are we giving money away to all these other countries? No idea. But I think most of it's going through these black box slush funds, according to the data.
We need to be taking care of our own.
Yes, please. Can we please
We
help
need to
America?
invest in the poor communities. 'Cause
Please.
it sucks.
Please.
How can you solve problems outside of this country if you're a genuine person and you're a logical person and you're an honest person? There's no argument to be said that you can solve other countries' problems if you can't solve your own country's problems.
100%.
And we were told that when Trump gets elected, he's going to focus on America first and he's going to solve our problems.
Yes, that was the ticket.
Every single thing was either DEI/woke virtue signaling, anti-woke virtue signaling, or other countries' problems.
And we did see him gently push in the chair of Mr. Bibi. He didn't look too happy with that one. We did see the capitulation of Mr. Trump, all alpha sigma male, gently and genteelly just pushing in that chair for his massa. It was a poor showing of Trump.
It went from America first to crypto, tech oligarchs, foreign wars, foreign countries, expanding our borders. Let's get Canada. Let's get Greenland. Let's go get the Panama Canal. Dude, we have a huge population of people in the United States that are so poor.
Yeah.
Let's fix them first.
Do you think it's more important to help the poor and the impoverished in America, or do you think it's more important that during Super Bowl, President Trump signed a legislative order that it's going to be called the Gulf of America now? Did you see that?
Does it count if America is the only country that calls it Gulf America?
Let me give you my 2 cents. So that I think it's actually a great idea.
I did too.
And the reason is because we have North America and we have South America. The Gulf of America is it's a fair statement.
It's not the Gulf of U.S., it's
Yeah.
Gulf America.
So I actually think it makes a lot of sense to call it the Gulf of America. So I don't see any problem with it. I think
I don't either.
if you check the Google Maps right now, you'll see that they haven't updated it.
They have updated it.
Oh, they did?
In the U.S., it's updated to Gulf of America.
No way.
Think
I checked
that
it
if
yesterday.
you're geolocated in another country, because officially that name hasn't changed. So I believe there are 2 governing bodies that work on world maps.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Gulf of America.
Yeah, so Google changed it for geopinged within the United States
Nice.
because of executive order. But the rest of the world, because it's not not globally recognized, it's still called Gulf of Mexico. So is there going to be an initiative to get those two organizing bodies to change the name officially globally, which is actually what matters? Will they do it or not? I don't know. And do you really want them spending our money to lobby for a name change?
No.
It's like, it's not that important, actually.
Please take care of North Carolina. Please take the tip of Tennessee, South Carolina.
Can we figure out parts of Maui?
Yes, please. That's where I was going next.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah. So Maui, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. Don't worry about LA. Don't worry about that. Nothing. It's just a bunch of pedophiles. You're not helping anybody out there. So can we please?
We love the people in LA. Because if you're in LA and you're watching our pod, you're like super, super based. Actually.
You are super based.
Right?
And we love you for who you are. We just don't care about all the underground tunnels and all the burning of these rich mansions with all these pedophiles. We really don't give a shit about them. They can burn in hell.
It must be really difficult for people in LA to watch us because they're walking around going, dude, we have all these ideas and we got it from Matt and Peter, but I can't talk to anybody else.
You can't. You'll get skinned alive.
So they're actually kind of brave. There's a braveness to that.
And our hearts go out to all you LA and California people who love the Matt Kim podcast. This is an opportune time for you to smash the like button, to share it, and to comment below because we still need many of you to check in SAR. Make sure you do that.
Because, if you really want to make a difference in the country and difference in the world, it's not enough to get the conservative demographics and geographic regions to support you. Actually, if you really want to make a change, you have to win the population centers. You have to win the cities. You have to.
It's an unfortunate occurrence, Matt, but the mental models and demographic of the cities is quite blue.
That doesn't mean you give up. It's like this weird unspoken rule that conservative America has decided that we will focus on middle America and the liberals get to own and monopolize the cities. But why is that true? The cities have the most money, have the most influence, are the power vacuums of our country. And the conservatives have almost like just, you guys can have it. Where's the fight? How can you change anything when you let the power vacuums stay the way they are?
I think it's a function. I think it's a function of that grouping of people, right? When you have a bunch of people grouped in a similar location, geolocation, with no trade skills, with no sophistication. Most of them are mentally handicapped and retarded, but they feel like they're important because they have a Snapchat and an Instagram profile of 1,500 followers. I should get a Snapchat. These people who live in cities are generally useless and would never understand that their food comes from trucks and the farms and people who actually work in the countryside. They don't realize that everything that they need for sustenance and survival is given to them by essentially conservative farmers and conservative industry workers. And so the amalgam of individuals in cities are usually low sophisticated, low IQ retards. And who wants to help them? I know I'm being facetious and kind of tongue-in-cheek here, but guys, understand my point, right? Conservatives are not going to go into that world and say, hey, let me help you become a real human being.
I don't think it's a lack of education because they are extremely well educated, a lot of them. It's the fact that they're educated by indoctrinated systems.
Well, yeah, they're not sophisticated is my point, yeah.
So, but if that's the only access to education you have, then how can you blame them for believing what they've been told?
You can't blame them for believing what they told because they're weak-minded and that's what they end up doing. But the problem is they, just like you said, power vacuum. They have all the power, though.
So what has to happen is someone and some group has to go in there and offer alternative education. And education doesn't, and we have this idea that education means that, like grades. And
if you go to school.
But that's not education.
Or organized learning.
That's like so archaic, actually.
Yes.
And that's going to be a dead art in the future anyway.
No doubt.
Education is just learning.
Yeah.
You have to learn. You have to learn. You have to learn to think. You have to learn to critically think. You have to learn to think for yourself. You have to learn to take in various information and not be so biased. In order to change a culture, or in order to change society, you need to inject proper education, and you have to inject a higher level of culture. And those are the two things that actually have to go in.
Higher level of education and higher level of culture to low IQ, different low IQ species who do not have the cognitive capacity to understand this stuff, Matt. It's not a good solution.
Actually, it's the best solution because all it takes, if they are who you say they are, then if there are strong leadership and strong leaders that pull them, they will follow.
They're more interested in making sure that they get their $7 latte in the morning, got picture for the gram. They're more interested in making sure that they rub shoulders with highfalutin celebrities in these famous cities. Like, Matt, you're asking for conservatives to inject themselves into a city and essentially become immediately a social pariah. Like, I don't.
It's necessary. It's not about being easy or not.
Blue-minded, what liberal blue-haired sheepdog in the middle of New York City is going to give you a second of their day because you want to educate them on better ways and expanding their knowledge base so they understand that there's more to life than getting that $7 latte every morning at Starbucks?
I think people are waking up. I think people can feel the digital prison walls closing in on them.
You think so?
I do. And I think this is the perfect time to kind of expand and get new people.
How would you do it?
I think it's just a matter of getting in there, figuring out how to talk to them in those areas, being able to relate to them. And I think it just takes leadership. Once we've had this conversation before in the past, is that if you show people one thing that makes them go, aha, that one aha moment gets them to a second aha, to a third aha. And all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, they've been lying to me this entire time. But everyone wakes up at a different time.
Fair enough.
And some people may be lost forever. But you don't need everyone. You just need enough.
So this always reminds me of those fun stories that are prompted by the simple question, what radicalized you?
I mean, for me, it's always COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've told the story, but that's what radicalized Matt is COVID, the lockdown.
Of course. The lockdown was like the most authoritarian dystopian thing like we've ever experienced. And I've started reframing how I see things. Okay, I'll explain it to you.
Tell me more.
So when we talk about COVID, we're like, Biden did this, Trump did this. Biden sent money here, Trump did this here. The Republicans did this, Democrats did this. The Democrat-run city, the Republican. When we talk about China, we don't go, oh, the conservatives are liberals or whatever in China. We never separate them by power. By political association. When we talk about UK, we just say UK. We don't divide them by political association. Talk about Brazil. Any country in the world, when you discuss them, you talk about them as a country because the leadership reflects the country. But here in the United States, we give them the ability to scapegoat each other. Plausible deniability. I didn't do it. The other side did it.
Right.
So in my mind, I started framing everything as Trump didn't do it, Biden did it. The president of the United States did this. Congress did this. That mayor did this. The governor did this. If you start holding them accountable to their title, all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, they are so corrupt.
Yeah, and it removes all of the bias and all of the trauma of the blue versus red.
Yes.
It's just like, no, don't worry about the blue versus red. There's a man or a woman behind that action. That's who we need to focus on.
Let me try, for example, to reframe COVID.
Sure.
The United States government funded research for coronavirus in bats in Wuhan, China.
Proven and true.
United States government did that.
Fair.
Once the virus hit the United States government shut down the country.
True.
After shutting down the country, the United States government fast-tracked an experimental vaccine, and the United States government forced their constituents and forced its citizens to take it.
True. However, there's some gray in there because some would say that they weren't forced. However, they were greatly encouraged with loss of life and loss of job and prosperity to do so. Okay.
The United States government used their legal right to propagandize the population and propagandize their population using the legal right to do so to convince people to take this vaccine.
True.
After all is said and done, we had an election and the new president or the previous president on the way out pardoned the United States government agency that was responsible for creating this problem.
True. There you go.
And the same president of the United States, the president of the United States and the United States government now wants to give money to tech oligarchs to create and expand this program even further.
True.
If you remove who the president is, if you remove the party affiliation, this story is fucking wild.
Not only is it fucking wild, it actually sounds even worse.
It's a million times worse.
It actually sounds worse.
And if you're in another country and you don't follow the party politics and you're looking at America and you're like, holy shit, look at what the president's done.
These guys are
Look at what the United States government does.
Yeah, these guys are fast tracked to hell right now. like China. You thought you were a badass? You thought you were great at bringing the iron fist on your citizens? America's like, hold my beer, watch this.
It's crazy how much responsibility that they're able to pass on to somebody else because they play party partisanship.
Yeah.
But the reality is that Congress is a mix of both.
Yeah.
The president represents the entire country, not just his party. And we shouldn't give them a pass and say, well, this president didn't do it, the other president did it, whatever. No, the presidents of the United States, there's only been a handful of them.
Yeah.
They enacted these policies. They start these wars. They give our money to foreign countries. They allow these black ops programs where they just hide trillions of dollars.
Yes.
And in the meantime, citizens of this country are fucking poor.
No doubt. And if I can add one layer of abstraction, which I think is important, we just have a revolving door of presidents and leaders. At the end of the day, that revolving door has no problems when it comes to the undergirding and the financiers. The financiers have been there for decades.
Yes.
The true, they say the deep state, whatever you
100
want
years.
to call it. Yeah. Whatever you want to call it. The deep state, the real owners of the government, the oligarchs, the rich and the famous, etc. Maybe not even famous because they don't want to be named, right? But those are the ones who stay consistent through all of it. During all these 4-year terms and all these different administrations, at the end of the day, they're just rubber stamping what the Pfizers, what the big tech oligarchs are forcing anyway. So those are our real rulers, right?
They have allowed all the unrest. They have allowed all the chaos. If anything, they've manufactured the chaos. They've manufactured the unrest.
Yes,
They've
they
manufactured the division.
They have. Yes.
And they don't want us to notice them as one unit.
If I could say something maybe egregious for the internet sleuths out there, I would say, in my estimation, 100% of all national crises in America are not some rando. It's the CIA or the FBI. Like that, I feel like is pretty a solid statement for me to say that 100% of all of the mass deletion events and all of the malfeasance and all of the crazy crises that are, and all these trauma bombings up and down, it's our 3-letter agencies against ourselves.
And we are paying for all of it.
Yes. When's the next Cybertruck bomb going to happen? That's the question. How much does that cost?
Did that even happen? It totally got memory hold.
Apparently, it turned the internet. According to the internet, maybe it didn't happen. Maybe
That's crazy, isn't it?
Maybe it was just a fever dream.
Like, just a couple weeks ago, we had a plane and a helicopter collide in the middle of the air in Washington, D.C.
Hasn't happened for a long time, too.
The very next day, a plane just nosedived straight into the ground and blew up like a huge bomb. People died. People actually died.
Yes.
That was important to the country for 24 hours, 36 hours at best.
Maybe, yeah.
I fly a lot. You fly a lot. I kind of want to know what happened.
I would like to know what happened, frankly.
I would like to know how a military helicopter, could crash into a passenger airplane in the middle of the air. I really feel like we should know that.
Yes. And
it's really important to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
But they memory hold it. It's gone.
Don't worry about it, Saar. Don't worry about it.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here.
This is not important. We don't want you noticing that something happened with the U.S. military running their helicopter into a passenger plane.
Maybe
if this happened in any other country, the news would say, oh my God, the United States government just blew up a plane. That's exactly what other countries would say.
Bro, absolutely. And the next line would be X, Y, and Z famous person or a politician or someone of note died in that. Because whenever a plane falls in Afghanistan or a helicopter, goes down in Ukraine, we know immediately who that person is, right? But when it comes to attacks on our own soil, we don't know anything.
What, 300 people died?
Yeah.
300 Americans died.
Yeah.
Every day in the news, if we had a free and fair media, we would be demanding answers on what happened there.
Oh, yeah.
Because Americans died.
Yeah.
Because a military helicopter ran into it. It's not even a passenger helicopter. Like, oh, it's a big mistake. No, this is a military helicopter that went straight into a passenger commercial airplane.
This is like one of the most high-tech military helicopters fresh off the line that you could have. Like with all of the tech, all of the gear, all of the radars and sensors. I mean, and from, again, I'm an ignorant civilian, so I don't know anything, but I've watched a couple videos, and it looks like, in my opinion, that there is very good visibility out of the cockpit of that helicopter. So what do I know? They could have been wearing spec goggles or something. But I find it very hard to believe, Matthew, that the sophistication of our military is so bad that this would... We have videos of them with plenty of seconds. They're just floating in the air. And it's just like, come on, bro. Get out of here.
How are we not demanding answers on that issue? It's actually pretty crazy.
Because Americans are just move on to the next thing because we've been given this Pop-Tart of a next commercial, of the next thing that we need to... Actually, you know what we need to care about, Matt? What we need to care about is Taylor Swift getting booed at the Super Bowl. That is more important because I've seen so many people tweeting about what... I just forgot her name. Taylor Swift getting booed. Like, she's so non-important in my life. Shake it off. Just like that. I mean, Travis Kelce... Taylor Swift, that is what we need to be concerned about, Matthew.
They will take an incident where 5 people die, and if it fits their narrative, they will flood you for 2 weeks on that narrative.
Longer, yeah.
Longer.
It'll
if
be a full
fits
month.
their goal, if it helps their campaign, if it's something that's important to them, they will nonstop flood you with that idea for weeks. But something that's maybe exponentially bigger, they will memory hold that and nothing to see here.
So... let me ask the question then. It's February. We're doing this episode on February 11th. What should we be concerned about as Americans today?
Well, I think what we really need to be concerned of is the propagandization of our minds. They are socially conditioning us. And I am so convinced on that at this point, that they are actively socially conditioning our minds so that we only see what they want us to see, that we only think about things that they want us to think about, that they are controlling what we care about, what we're mad about, what we engage with. And we are so controlled at this point that change and embedment of society is becoming impossible because they control our minds.
So you're saying we cannot exit the matrix.
You have to figure out a way to exit the matrix. You have to.
And
you have to free, because they want to tell you what to do with your body. They want to tell you where you can go, how to move. They want to tell you who you can engage with. They want to tell you where you can talk, where you can bank. They're trying to control everything.
Yes.
Take it all. You can't take our minds.
And if I can qualify for those who are, because we have a ton of new users, ton of new followers, new subscribers all the time. So some people might be looking at this rant and saying, whoa, Matt, you're an ignoramus. No, sir. Matt is, no, sir. Matt is not an ignoramus. If I were to go, I would go even farther and say that Matt has had more education in censorship, in shadow banning, in all of these things than almost any other producer of content out there. Why can I say this with straight eyes and honesty in my heart? Because you've done the diligence. You've talked with people who've shown you the algorithm behind closed doors. We've lived the experience of getting stonewalled and plateaued and then exponential rise and then shut off at the faucet. We know it. And so for those who are saying, oh, Matt's office rocker, he's just pissed off that no, sir. No. It is absolutely true that this world around us, this matrix that's been pulled over in front of our eyes, from your Instagram to your Tweeters to your LinkedIn to your YouTubes, it's all a system of propaganda, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And your anger and frustration, Matt, I think is not unfounded. I think you have very good logical reason to be upset.
I think once people kind of hear this idea, people are like, oh, that makes sense. It's one of those.
Maybe you're just red pilling people today.
Blackpilling them?
Maybe black pilling them, yeah.
Because, and people are listening like, yeah, we get why you get canceled a lot. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. I get it. It's very anti-narrative. If anything, it's anti-narrative.
Well,
it's so against the narrative because it's not even the culture. It's not the counterculture. It's something we say. It's a counterculture.
Yeah, it's a counterculture. It's actually it's almost unbelievable at some points, Matt, because the matrix is so thick for you to be speaking about talking points that are not even within the realm of people's context. They're like, what are you talking about? This SS, 69, nice. All these things that you're looking up. Like, oh, I never heard about this shit.
That's the point.
That's the point. They don't want you to hear about it. That's the point, brother. You just proved our point. If you haven't heard about it, and the first time you're hearing about these questions that Matt Kim is bringing up on the Matt Kim podcast, it's because the brother is doing research. He has inbound. He's got little. I was about to say tiny hats. He has little people in all these nooks. He hears from little birds all the time, friends. So Matt knows.
In all fairness, if you're a little person, you would have a little hat.
True that.
I want to talk about this new executive order that Trump signed.
Which
with
one?
South Africa.
Oof.
This is a really interesting story.
You can't be talking about this because it sounds like you're noticing another anti-pattern here, Matt.
This is a really interesting story.
That's interesting and sad, but yes.
So in South Africa, there has been this movement. There is a group in South Africa they call them Afrikaners or the Boers.
The Boers, yeah.
And these are the traditionally white households that have been around for hundreds of years. And they tend to be in agriculture and finance and business, whatever.
Yeah.
They're a pretty big part of society.
Yeah, they're a very industrious species.
Correct. And there is this group, the new government within South Africa that has been allegedly, because I can't actually even find proof that this is actually true. They have allegedly been appropriating their land and giving it back to the people.
Yes.
And the people being black people.
Yes. And if we can go farther, there is plenty, in my opinion, evidence that these that they're getting killed. Right? It's very, very kind of Palestine, kind of Gaza-esque, if you ask me.
Yeah. So there are a couple black extremists within South Africa that have these conferences and they talk about how you gotta
kill the Boers or delete the Boers.
Thank you.
I just got us flagged. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you gotta delete the low melatonin people, right? That this is a thing, but
delete the pale skins.
But I would consider them extremists.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The extremists don't represent everyone, but that does exist, and we're seeing those clips all the time because it's extreme.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if it's everybody.
It's not everybody, but it's enough where these people live in fear for their lives. It's a big enough issue where there are thousands of. There was a picture, and can you verify it? Who knows? But a picture I saw of this road, you might have seen it, where they have all the crosses of these thousands of people who have been killed for their land, right? And they're all white people, right? White people in South Africa who have been killed for their land and been taken over by the South Africans there. And it seems like it's real, number one, and it seems like it's bigger than we imagined, in my opinion.
I have a friend that does really well.
We should ask Elon Musk.
I'm gonna ask.
He's South African.
I'm gonna ask a friend who I know does really well in South Africa. I'm gonna find out.
Please do.
I'm curious. I'm actually curious.
I want to know it because the problem, and we've talked about this before, is that there is minority status for everyone in the world except for the Anglo-Saxon. You do not want to be a true minority Anglo-Saxon in some places in the world. And South Africa is showing us that if you are a white Anglo-Saxon in South Africa, your life is at stake. Like, there are no minority provisions for you because minority status only affects the higher melanin content individuals.
But if you go into like a Google Maps and you zoom over South Africa, the white people residences are like enormous plots of land.
They are
Huge.
they are a very industrious species.
Like ridiculously huge.
Yeah.
And then you have one street that divides it. And right across the street from these enormous compounds is like pure slum.
Shantytown. Yeah.
And it's separated literally by a dirt road.
Yeah, it's the whole railroad effect, right? On one side of the railroad, it's the rich. On the other side of the railroad, it's the poor.
It's like super rich and super poor.
Yeah, it's kinda like
the dichotomy between the two is so large.
It's also known as Naples, Florida. Same.
So I'm like, man, if I was born on the wrong side of this dirt road, I can understand why they're mad. Even if there was no context why they should be mad. You kind of get it. Because you go outside your hood and you're like, holy, at least in America, what they do well is they take the hood and the good parts and they separate it enough where no one notices each other.
Yes, that's
Right?
true. Absolutely.
That's what Atlanta actually does the best.
Oh yeah.
In Atlanta, if you're in a nice part of Buckhead, you can't take the wrong turn and end up in the hood.
No, you can't.
You actually have to go find the hood.
Yes.
But
Unless you're on I-20 towards westbound, then it's easy to find the hood over in industrial
but it's
park.
like poor, not hood.
Fair enough.
Right?
Fair enough. Yes.
But in South Africa, you take one wrong turn, and actually Newark, New Jersey too.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
You take one wrong turn,
Yeah.
and you're in like the worst neighborhood ever. It's like you turn now and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Well, if you're talking about Newark, then you're just a stone's throw from Camden.
Yeah.
Right. You know Camden. All right, which is so fascinating because not that you guys would know this, but I'm just going to say it anyway because I want to get it out of my system. There was a thing, I think it was 2014 or 2015. I remember that the number one highest murder rate capital of the world or in America at the time was Camden, New Jersey. But across the train tracks is Morrisville, New Jersey, which was rated as the number one best place to live in America that year. It was like this absolute dichotomy between the hood and the slum and rich white America. Absolutely. So it's just like that in South Africa.
Yes. So I'm not saying what they're doing is right. But I'm just saying I kind of understand.
But I'm going to argue with you, though, because there's a serious lack of self-awareness, though. You can talk about equity. You can talk about equality. You can talk about fairness all day. But we know that the great God above, he never talks about fairness. It is what it is. It's what I tell my kids. Like, God didn't say it was going to be fair. Deal with it. But the lack of self-awareness is the issue that I have. Is that let's say you were born on one side of the train, or one side of the road. Let's say they were the poor side of the road. Should you be mad? Should you be angry with the people on the other side of the road because they live in large, expansive mansions and they have lots of amenities and they have all the riches that they need? Or should you be mad based on that fact alone? I don't think so. I think if you are mad, then you lack self-awareness. You've been placed in this place. You were born. You didn't ask to be born. But the roll of the dice, the RNG of life, allowed you to be spawned on the dirt side of the road instead of the rich side of the road. Should you be mad about that? The answer is no, sir. No, sir. You shouldn't.
I would be really curious to know. Because I bet you, this is totally random thought, but it'd be worth looking into. I wonder, because again, there are a couple really extremists within the black side of South Africa that are really riling people up right now.
Oh, yeah.
I would wonder how much the CIA is funding them.
Bro,
that's not a crazy idea, actually.
We do it all the time.
How much are we funding the extremists to create chaos there so that when the place goes bad, we'd be like, oh, look, we're going to go in and save it.
Yeah, we're going to go in and help.
We're going to help.
Yeah, me and Black...
Contract's nice.
Me and my homie BlackRock.
Yeah, BlackRock's about to clean up in here.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll loan you guys money. We'll build some 15-minute cities. We'll get you guys online. Like, we'll figure it all out.
I actually guarantee that they're involved.
I have no proof of that whatsoever. I've never looked into it. But just logically thinking, it's definitely not impossible.
Humans do not wake up and choose violence against other humans. If I can make a very simple model, I think I've thought of this before. It's a 3-step model. Number 1, humans don't wake up and choose violence against other humans. Number 2, there are some who are what I would consider agitators. They don't like the status quo. They don't like the unfairness, the equity. They don't like the how the balance of power is not in their favor. And these agitators, those are the ones that the 3-letter agencies say, He's riled up just enough. You know what he needs? Funding and guidance. And that's where I think the 3-letter agencies take over, is they say, ooh, we got a new agitator in South Africa. He seems to be, his social profile grew from 100 to like 10,000 in just a month organically. He's growing. You know what? I think I got a couple people that we need to send over there and let him know that he could be well funded.
Help him with the logistics.
Yeah.
Help him understand crowd control, organization, things that systems and processes can really help exponentially grow a movement.
Yeah.
You just introduce those as ideas.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
And it all starts
100,000 person arenas.
Yes. And suddenly he goes from zero to hero. He's well funded, well financed. Suddenly he has access to munitions and arms. Suddenly he has high-tech gear for networking.
Surveillance.
Yeah.
Information.
And suddenly random crates and pallets of cash and weapon systems are dropped in his location.
It's like right before a riot, all of a sudden there's pallets of bricks laying on the ground on the street corner.
Bro.
BLM riots, all of a sudden a pallet of bricks shows up right at the riot location. So coincidental.
Can we take a segue break for that?
How crazy was that?
How are people so ignorant and so dumb that they're looking at these, random pallet of bricks on the middle of East Fifth Avenue?
Not even near a construction zone. Just boom, street corner, pallet of bricks.
Yeah, wired up with it's like, bro.
Take one only. A little
One per customer.
Yeah, sharing is caring.
Yeah. Come on, guys. Like, it is not hard. It doesn't cost that much money to bus people in, to drop off some pallets of bricks.
The bus drops right in front of the pallet of bricks. Coincidental.
Yep, and of course there's this 6'2" white dude with a balaclava on that's covering most of his face, kind of like leading the charge.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you don't look like you're from around here, number one. Number two, you're kind of an awkward 6'2" white dude that no one would believe on the worst days anyway. And number three, why are you, the somewhat not dirty white dude with this face mask, why are you throwing the first brick?
Dude, didn't you hear he said free bricks?
Oh.
Free bricks! It's free?
Free bricks?
I get to throw a brick.
Because the 6'2" white guy with the balaclava hiding half of his face, he would totally be the guy and the demographic that would say, free bricks? I'm all about it.
Love free bricks.
Right? I heard about the sale on Friday from my homie Richard. Right? No, not happening, guys. So your assertion that 3-letter agencies are deeply involved with the South African, massacre that's happening right now, I'm going to use that word. I think you are 100% over the target. 100%.
And I don't know if the massacre is existing. I'd like to find out more.
They are getting massacred. It is.
We'll talk to someone there. I need to know. I'm so curious.
So, yeah. Well,
Okay.
the irony on the other side is I've also seen some memes of the black Africans also saying, we should stop killing the white man because they're actually making our food for us. I find those articles to be the funniest.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about like Rhodesia.
Yeah.
Where there was a white population helping the blacks in area of, where was it? Zaire? No, Zimbabwe?
Something like that.
And in Rhodesia, and eventually the world was like, that's racist, and they had to leave, and the blacks were like, no, like, we actually like them here.
Yeah, we kind of need them back because
they were like educating us, and they're helping us with our economy, helping us with our agriculture, and helping us with everything. Like, we actually didn't want them to leave.
Yeah, because
but the world said, no, that's racist. You can't like make the black people work. And then that became a thing. Memory hold for a lot of people.
Memory hold.
Rhodesia story. If you guys are interested, definitely go down that rabbit hole.
The Rhodesia story is a very simple story showing the differential in species, Matt. There are some species who are industrious.
Species.
There are some species who are industrious. There are some species that are not. And so, if you'd like to have a society where there are utilities, there's access to education, there's access to opportunity, you probably don't want to kick out the species that is willing to build the infrastructure so that happens. What do I know, Matt? What do I know?
The Rhodesia story, we won't go into too depth. Definitely worth going down that rabbit hole. I think it's an important part of history.
I think
it's a lot to learn from.
I think if you go into it, it'll black pill a couple of people because it'll just be like, whoa, maybe noticing patterns in people groups matters.
So going back to the executive order that Trump signed, Okay. That's where we started.
Yes.
So Trump signed an executive order, and he said that because the whites, the Africans, and the Boers are getting their land appropriated by the rest of the South African government, that we are now going to accept them in the United States as refugees.
Yes.
I'm like, wait a second. I thought we were getting the refugees out. And then he just signed an executive order to bring more refugees in. I'm like, we're supposed to get them out. You just brought more in.
I'll play the argument on the other side.
Okay.
These are white people that he's asking to come.
Fair.
That's better.
What happened to closing the border? Is that not a thing? Because you can't say we're closing the border and then say, no, we choose to bring other people in.
No, the answer is
because you choose one group, then you can choose another group, you can choose another group. You're setting precedent for who you can pick and choose allowed to come in.
Well, we had an episode on this. The number one species that is coming into America are the SARs. So we have to balance out the SARs with Anglo-Saxons. Right?
The SARs are still going to come. Once you allow them to come in, you're going to allow the SARs in. And you allow the SARs in because they made a deal and with all these contracts and work and they're supportive of Israel. So they're on the list of good people.
But that's kind of speaking to kind of my point. If Trump is opening up the border to make it porous for the white Anglo-Saxons, the Boers in South Africa, that's actually going against the tiny hats. The tiny hats don't like.
No, the tiny hats don't like the South African government.
Yes.
So in Trump's executive order, he said two things. One, we will let the Africans that are affected by the South African policies to come into the United States as refugees.
Yes.
We're going to allow them in. If you're white and you're from South Africa, we'll take you.
Yes.
Again, very anti this closed border policy.
Yeah, we want more Elon Musks.
Nobody wants more Elon Musk. Okay. So that he just allowed that. Number two thing he said in the executive order is it's because the South African government calls what's happening in Israel and Palestine that he calls that a genocide. And they're on the wrong side of the genocide.
I see.
Wait, what?
This is also confusing.
So South Africa is not getting penalized only because of appropriation of land. They are getting penalized because they are on the wrong side of the war in which he perceives as the right side.
Oof, man, I get it. I'm with you. Okay, so the tiny hats hate Africa.
The tiny hats hate South Africa.
Yeah,
and they are being punished for it.
I feel like the Q storm would start rising right now and saying, "Yeah,
no refugees allowed, except if you're the enemy, and we need to get rid of your people."
So you are of the opinion, which I think I already know, that when we say that we voted for a closed border system, that's what we wanted.
That's what it was supposed to be. That's what we all thought.
Yeah, that's what I voted for.
We voted for mass deportations. There's no mass deportation, by the way.
Well, yes, you're not wrong. They're getting rid of the most egregious individuals.
But they're not. 52% of people that have been arrested are not criminal offenders.
And some of them are like really cute.
They're going after just whatever they can consider low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're a criminal offender or not. Their narrative is that they're getting all these criminals. 52% of people that they've arrested with these mass raids and these ICE raids
have no criminal record.
Have no criminal record.
Yeah.
Okay, then who are we going after? How are we choosing?
Maybe they're just collateral damage, dude.
And they're picking up, I think, like average of 300 to 400 people a day, which is nothing.
Can I correct the record?
It's not any. He's not arresting any more than Biden was at the end of his term.
So let me correct the record. We are both correct when we say they don't have a criminal record, but they are illegal, so
Correct.
they've broken the law. So some would say,
okay,
you don't have a criminal record. Fair enough. You've been here for 8 years. Fair enough. However, you still had 8 years to register and become legal, and you didn't.
Well, a lot of people, once you start the process is so long and so slow that even if they started the process 10 years ago, they could have made zero progress.
Fair enough. But
so let me ask you one question. Is there a difference in an illegal alien that just ran across the border in a caravan in the last year with no job, just takes money, versus an illegal alien that's been here 15 years, has a job, and actually pays taxes. Is there a difference?
Yes.
But to ICE, as we stand right now, there is no difference because 52% of those people are the latter.
Yes.
And we have almost zero history of catching any of these people that came in the caravans in the last 3 years. So we're targeting the people that are here illegally, but are contributing to society. Some have criminal records. They need to go. 52% of them have no criminal record, and they literally work and pay into the system. And they pay into the system, and because they're illegal, they don't get to take from the system. Are they the same? Because if one argues, no, they're here illegally, illegal is illegal, I don't care, then I understand, doesn't matter, just take them all.
Yeah.
If you're in the camp, well, no, there's actually a difference between the two, then why are you going after the people that have been here for a long time paying their taxes?
Fair enough. So it's, yeah. So,
Which is not easy. It's actually a really controversial topic.
it is a controversial topic, and I'm just going to pin you to the wall. What do you? What's your stance? I'll give you mine.
Okay.
The simple answer is, it's going to sound terse, is if you're illegal, you're illegal. Like, you cannot claim ignorance. Dude, you cannot claim ignorance. If you can't say, well, Peter, the application process takes 5 to 10 years. Then you should have started 10 years ago.
But a lot have.
I don't give a fuck. If you can't come to me with with knowledge of the process and you still didn't do it, well, then you're even worse off. You had years to do this. And so it might sound terse. It might sound, Peter, you're not being loving. You have broken the law. If you had time to rectify that, let bygones be bygones. Water under the bridge. You were here. It took you 3 years to finally establish yourself. Good on you, mate. Then you realized it was going to take you 5 to 10 years to become legal, and you said, you know what, I want to do it the right thing. So you started 7 years ago, and then you completed the process. Good on you, mate. You did the right thing. But if you know what the process is, and you know your current status as being illegal, which means that there's the potential risk, you've exposed yourself to risk, that you could be found out by ICE or ratted on by your Karen neighbor. Someday your life could be changed. You have chosen daily to make the cognitive decision that you will not do the right thing, even though you know it's the right thing to do. So I say illegal is as illegal does. If you're illegal, sorry you got caught up in the fray. Sorry that for that lady who was on the news who looks like she's 300 pounds and saying, oh, they're going to take I've been here for like 15. Like, bitch, you had 15 years? I have no sympathy for you. Sympathy for you.
If we go with the official number, which is there are 12 million illegal immigrants in this country, and if you go to the Trump number, which says there are 30 million,
I think he's probably closer to the truth, though.
I think it's just lower. If it is anywhere in between, but we will only remove approximately 1 to 1.5 million people in the next 4 years.
Then we have done nothing.
Well, we're not going to do anything. But if that's the number that's the goal to hit, 1.5 million people over 4 years, because that's like the realistic number at this point.
Yeah.
Then shouldn't we focus on the criminals and the people that are negative to society, and maybe allow the people that have shown that they're contributing to society by actually taking the jobs that no one wants to do?
Of course.
They are working the agricultural jobs in middle America that nobody wants to do. They're taking up the dishwashing jobs they're having a really hard time filling. They're taking the jobs here in Georgia. They're taking the chicken farm jobs, feeding the chickens.
Construction jobs, yeah.
Construction jobs. These are jobs that if you didn't have them,
service jobs, like maids,
Yeah, if you didn't have those people filling those jobs, there's a huge gap in society. And those people are paying taxes into the system and taking very little benefit out. My argument is that possibly we should focus on the criminals, and if there's room and capacity, deal with them last.
I don't disagree with you. We should always focus on the bad of society to remove them from society. Peaceful stuff. However, if you have chosen cognitively day after day to choose the wrong thing and you become collateral damage, sorry, Saar, I have very little sympathy for you. You chose to live a life of sin. Let's go to the Christian words. You've chosen every single day to live a life that is not a life of integrity. What does integrity mean? Internal and external consistency. What you say you are is what you do. What you promise you say you're going to do, you do. That is internal integrity. And so for me, I don't disagree with anything you've said. Focus on the baddies. Get rid of the baddies. But if you're caught up in the collateral damage of collecting the baddies, I have very little sympathy for you. I mean, I lived in Japan, I lived in Korea, I lived in India. Whenever I would live in these other countries, I didn't want to assimilate myself quickly, but I made sure that I was a good American. I represented America well. I was respectful. I respected the cultures. I respected the traditions. And when I was in Korea, for example, I went and got my Korean driver's license so that I could ride my motorcycle, right? So I could drive cars there.
He delivered Chinese food, by the way.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I look cute on that bike. Anyway, the point is I did all the requisite requirements so that I could live freely and effectively as a productive member of South Korea society when I lived there, just as an example. So was it painful for me to get my license in the beginning when my Korean sucked ass and they didn't have updated American documents? Yes. Was it frustrating to try to figure out how to get it all done? Yes. But I did the right things, Matt. And I will always live by doing the right thing. And so you might say, well, Peter, you don't understand the context. This illegal been here 12 years and they got 3 boys and they're all like, I don't care. You have lack of integrity. Internal consistency is lacking. Collateral damage is part of the risk exposure that you've chosen. You probably haven't ever used those words before, but you created a risk exposure for yourself, and now you're paying the piper.
Okay, let me throw another premise out there for you. You said that if you are arresting people that have done crime, and as part of that, you get caught up as collateral damage.
Yeah,
it's fair. Okay, I can accept and understand that premise. But there's also a situation, because they're not hitting their numbers that they're supposed to hit, that they go after businesses that historically hire a lot of illegal immigrants. And they're just taking out the workforce.
Good.
They are not the same as collateral damage. This is targeted damage.
Fine. Good. Do it.
That's okay.
Do it. Do it. The hole will be filled. If we truly live in a capitalist economy where opportunities are ripe, then those who are the sophisticated will see, ooh, my competitors just got taken out by a random phone call because 80% of his workforce are illegals. Smart deal. There's now a void in that market. The right sophisticated entrepreneur and operator will look at that and say, excellent opportunity for expansion. I have a very low empathy threshold for these types of conversations. I think you've seen my video, how I've been affected by illegals. Like my family, it just for short story, my family with video was almost killed by an illegal immigrant in a brand new GLA 250 who T-boned us on Beaufort Highway. Like, that radicalized me. That was the radicalization. When I talked to that police officer with receipts, you can see the video online. The police officer was like, all right, we can't do shit. I was like, I cannot believe this. My life was almost ended because of this. And we're going to just let them roll? I'm done with that shit, man. I'm done with that shit. If you're illegal, get out of here, right? Get out of here. Am I wrong in that?
I mean, I think
this
arguments
is my opinion.
are had. Yeah, I think arguments are had for all sides, because the only problem that I have is that if you allow the targeting of certain businesses to remove their workforce, it can be easily weaponized.
It will be weaponized, man.
And it's always the same people that benefit from the weaponization of government. We're just giving the people that have too much power more power. We're giving the tech oligarchs or the business oligarchs that already have so much power more power. And if it means that by fighting against that, even though that I may agree with some of their methods, I would rather take them down than the few illegal immigrants that work in a factory somewhere that aren't hurting anybody. They don't affect me. These guys affect me.
I see your argument, but I would ask you, Matt, to not conjecture a thesis in the future. You don't know if they're going to truly benefit. Is there a high chance that they will? That the
well,
the tech oligarchs and the
52% of
Walmarts
the
are going to
people-
consume? Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, if the 52% of the people that are non-criminals are the ones being arrested and they are targeting certain businesses to help take their workforce, I'm like, how did they get the call to go after that business when there's so many businesses?
Because it's what you're right. Because it's been
Who
weaponized.
chose that? Who decided that competitor of this guy is who we're going to take out?
I'll give you the answer. It goes like this.
I bet you it's a donor.
I'll give you is something aligned to this. The scenario looks like this. I'm deeply political, Matt. I'm deeply political, and I like this Trump guy, and I like what they're doing with his illegal immigration. I own a Lowe's, and you know what? I know that my competitor, the Home Depot just down the street, is employing 60 to 80% illegals. I have a guy that's connected to a guy that's connected to another guy in ICE, and he's my good buddy, Jim. He works at the sheriff's department. Let me just have a lunch with Jim. And I have a lunch with Jim, and he tells me, yeah, man, I know a guy. What do you got? And I say, well, I can't be attached to this, but man, you know I work at Lowe's. My competitor's over at Home Depot. Can you put in a good word? That's all. Can you put in a good word? That's how it happens. And you might say, well, Peter, you've just opened up the door for weaponization. Yes, it's going to happen. And that business, and I am going to benefit greatly from the destruction of my competitor, the Home Depot, just down the road. But guess what? Guess what, Matt? That void will be filled.
And I am so sick of the weaponization of government and government agencies to go after targets and people, because everyone was so mad. Oh, you know, the government, they weaponized the government to go after Trump, and it's not fair. Okay, then you need to stop the process. You need to stop the process, not use it also.
Yes.
Because all you're doing is creating this cycle where you do it to me, I do it to you, you do it to me, I do it to you. In the crossfire, we, the people, are the ones that get stuck in the crossfire, that get harmed in the crossfire, that lose our money in the crossfire, that lose our health, that lose our societies, lose our communities in the crossfire. We're stuck in their war. And at some point, someone needs to stop that shit. Because if your response to the weaponization of government to you is to weaponize the government against them, then as soon as there's opportunity, they will do it back. And you will do it again. And you will do it back. And it's just corruption. Every time you attack the other side, the methods get stronger and bigger and more corrupt.
Yes, you're not wrong.
Meaning we're building corruption. And by us saying, no, well, they did it to us, so we should do it too. By us doing that, it's just making it exponentially worse every single time.
And we're no better.
No better.
Yeah.
At some point, the cycle has to stop. If the cycle doesn't stop, then we will forever, we're on the brink of collapse society because there is no way that model is sustainable. It's just not.
Well, there's no society ever in history where when the populace is backstabbing each other, that society thrives.
And if America were to fail in the next 5 years, the entire history of the world will say that was the worst failed experiment ever. Because to only make it 400 years and collapse is actually a joke. Right?
You're not wrong.
Most civilizations last thousands of years.
This is a grand experiment, this America.
400 years and failure means that the whole idea and premise of it never made sense.
So should we go back to a dictatorship? Because those seem to be lasting like thousands of years.
I mean, it's pretty crazy that if U.S. were to fall because we infight our way to chaos and end, it's like, holy shit.
Maybe
This whole like democracy thing doesn't work. And the worst part of that is I actually believe in democracy. We don't have a true democracy. So how can we know if the democracy works or not if we never actually tried it?
maybe fascism is the answer.
I mean, benevolent dictatorships work all over the country, by the way.
Yeah.
And there are certain countries where communism actually works. The idea that only one type of government.
I know so many commenters are going to be like, I did not just hear Matt Kim say their communism works.
The idea that one type of political ideology works as a blanket for all countries and all demographic regions of all geographical places in the world is like the biggest lie ever. Everyone's people are different. The culture is different. The history is different. Their resources are different. Their geographical location is different. There are different political ideologies that are best for that region.
Your logic is sound.
But this idea...
Wait, can I back up? Just for everyone who didn't catch the sophisticatedness of what you've just said, how sophisticated it was. What you're essentially saying is that for different species and different people groups located in different geographic locations, one size fits all isn't the solution?
It's definitely not the solution.
So you're saying that America exporting democracy and trans rights to sub-Saharan Africans is not the right recipe for success?
But we also know that it's not actually their ideology they're spending. Because, again, El Salvador, we have no problem with the dictator. Saudi Arabia, we have no problem with the dictator.
Most of the
Qatar, we have no problem with them.
Yeah, most of the Middle East
UAE,
are
we have
rich
no problem
oligarchs.
with them.
Yeah,
We have no problem with any of that.
they're just royal families. Yeah.
So this whole, they're trying to inject American ideology into these. No, they're not. It's just money laundering.
Yeah.
It's just money laundering.
Yeah.
To say it's anything else is ridiculous.
Yeah, no doubt. But I hope people haven't missed the point. No single solution is the solution for every distinct people group. For example, you probably want to have a benevolent dictatorship leading a society of retards.
Well, or a society that's maybe war-torn, maybe a society that's extremely poor or retard. You need someone to lead and set up the structure for them. It actually works. Singapore being the greatest example of that. Lee Kuan Yew comes in, takes an extremely poor country, becomes a dictator, fixes the entire education system, it has the highest GDP, more than America now.
Yep.
Everyone is educated. The streets are clean. Everything worked out. And they went from like one of the poorest countries in the world to one of the richest countries in the world. And it took one dictator to do it.
Yeah. So
Was he harsh at times? Yes.
fair enough. So what you're
But
saying,
he turned the whole place around.
right. So for the low sophisticated, low IQ, a benevolent dictatorship makes sense. If you live in a culture with a species group who are highly industrious, high IQ, deeply sophisticated, and can use their hands to create industry and to create products and services, you probably don't want to have a dictatorship because you'd squash creativity and entrepreneurship. And so again, very simple dichotomy here is that different political regimes make sense for different people groups, is what you're saying, Matt.
Exactly.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying exporting democracy and Captain America is probably not the best way of helping the world out.
Instead of trying to figure out how to run this imperialistic model of taking over countries, injecting your politics into other countries, trying to change it for your betterment, instead of sending out trillions of dollars into the world to promote democracy, why not actually run a real democracy within the borders and fix the problems within the country? I feel like that's what Trump ran on. And I think that's why I'm so upset, because that's what people wanted. Stop trying to fix other people's problems and fix our problems.
Thanks, Jordan Peterson.
It's so simple of an idea.
Clean your room.
Clean your room.
Don't be telling other people what to do when your house is a mess.
Fix your own problems.
Fix your shit.
Stop lying to your population. Stop propagandizing your population. We're seeing that turning point on the pay.
Everybody's on the pay, man.
Everybody's getting paid.
Everybody's on the take, man.
Every single major account that you can think of, they're getting paid by the government to tell you what they want you to think. It's crazy. And no one is like, oh my gosh, they're all propagandists. No, he's really funny.
He twiddles my diddle.
He was really good at yelling at like college students.
Yeah, and you know what? He really ripped into Ben Shapiro.
Which Ben Shapiro is getting money.
Yep, of course.
The United States is funding all the Holocaust museums in the United States and funding universities all over the world. And I'm like, dude, our education system is broken, is breaking, but yet we spend our tax dollars to fund universities in other countries. Why? How difficult is it to just say, let's just fix our schooling because our education system sucks?
It does make a lot of sense, man. It makes a lot of sense.
Why not educate and figure out how we can improve the schools, other places that you say are maybe lower IQ or retards? Like, why don't we get them smarter?
You can't.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Of course you can.
No, you can.
If you can teach them and they can learn.
if you have an IQ of 70, you are at a functional level where being industrious and a productive member of society is a far gone is not going to happen, right? There's a reason why, which is fascinating because no one likes to bring this up in the time of need when it actually matters. There's a reason why there's a minimum IQ standard for the military. Because if you're under the IQ standard, then you are functionally useless to the military. Let's just talk about that for a second. Why is there a minimum threshold of intelligence quotient? I'm saying that wrong. IQ. Why is there a minimum? Because the military themselves cannot use people under a particular threshold, man. There are some people that are just not going to be useful to society. And if you look at species groups across the planet, you will find some species groups in massive land masses where they literally have an IQ on average lower than what we in the military would accept as someone who is functionally capable of doing the job.
We are running into a new age of artificial intelligence. Most people will not have to work.
Okay.
They will take a lot of jobs. We don't need to train people to understand technology at a high level. We need to train people on how to accept a certain culture to be able to survive in society properly. This is not high IQ, low IQ stuff. This is just humanity.
But again, if you're going over to certain areas, like say Africa, there's certain.
I don't want to deal with Africa. I want to deal with the United States.
Okay, fine. Let's stay in America then. In America, we are importing low IQ species groups into America.
Stop importing them.
Good. We're back to the border. So no porous border. Get rid of all the illegals, whether you were here one day or whether you're here 15 years. You've made a cognitive decision to come into America without the right paperwork and due diligence. So get out of here. You might say, oh, my homie who employs 80%. Why is he employing 80% illegals?
Because no one else will do the job.
Maybe he should choose a different business to be in.
Or maybe we should choose the population that chooses not to work and teach them that they can also have these jobs.
Oh.
And maybe this minimum wage thing is bullshit.
Oh, man. Shoot, you mean when we create blanket policies across a variable system of humans that it doesn't always work out, Matt?
Exactly.
Dadgummit, shit. It sounds like we almost have to be thoughtful about policies before we make the policies.
Instead of looking for patchwork policies to temporary solutions, because again, it's this whole thing that especially presidents, they only work in 4 years, so they actually don't care what happens 5 years later. Yeah. It's all 4 years at a time, 4 years at 4 years at 4 years at a time. And there's no continuity. It's like if you get a good leader, actual good leader, that's like a really empathetic leader, strong leader that understands like the embetterment of the people, not embetterment of business and embetterment of kind of the oligarchy. Maybe we actually need one for like 10 years.
Oof. Let me give you a thought experiment. My final question of the day. Do you think America should experiment with fascism?
No.
Why?
I think it's too large of a country.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you can't make a political change because the country is just too large. This is the political landscape that's been chosen, that's been built on, and it will either live or die by that standard. If you make any change, then the whole system, whole experiment will be considered a failure.
Okay, so follow-up question, because now you've intrigued me. Do you think this American experiment, with the trajectory in which we are headed now, succeed or fail?
Fail.
Oh, fuck.
I think that the idea of democracy is amazing. I think the idea that, this constitutional, fine. The idea that people's voice matters, that people debate and argue, and that the best ideas and what the people actually want are represented by our government and they enact on the policies based on what people want. I think that idea is actually phenomenal.
That's a great idea.
Supposed to be.
In theory, it's a great idea.
We've never just actually tried it. Majority of the country does not want to support war in Ukraine. Majority of the country does not want to support war in Israel. But yet, here we are. Majority of the country does not want federal funding to go all over the world to fund all these random programs. But yet, this is what we do.
Here we are.
Majority of the country do not want it to be legal for the government to propagandize them. But here we are. the government does not represent the will of the people. And if that's true, which is true, then we are not living in a democracy. Because if it was a democracy, the government would represent what we want. This is a problem.
Is it Washington Post? And their motto is democracy dies in darkness, something like that. I feel like with all of the lack of transparency of government spend, which is clearly our biggest issue, democracy truly dies in darkness.
The government should represent us, not dictate to us. That's the way the system was built. That's what we were promised. That's the promise of America, actually.
Well, the Constitution outlines it pretty well, actually.
And when we veered away from that, I don't know if it was the beginning or over time, or I think over time we just got further and further and further and further away from that. But we're at a point now where this version of democracy and government that we're given versus what we were promised, we're so far away that this version cannot survive.
What, and this is a very broad question, but I keep asking them because I love this conversation here. What needs to be done?
I think we need a third party. I really do think we need a third party.
Really?
I think a third party that runs on maybe these ideals that I believe in.
Like first principles? That would be great.
Yeah. I think if there was a third party that was not part of this uniparty, it does two things. Because if you had an honest, genuine, integrity party that really represented the voice of what Americans wanted and not what foreign powers and lobbyists and everything else represented, if they can win, then what happens is that, number one, it exposes both sides of their ultimate corruption. Because right now, we have no control group. You don't notice how corrupt the left is and how the right is, because all you have is the other side to compare with.
Yeah, they're both compromised.
And they're so corrupt that they don't look that corrupt.
That's a funny but sad way of putting it. Yes, you're right.
But if you throw in a control group,
Yeah, of like that's completely objective and honest, you'd be like, holy cow, how
then
far away.
both sides will look so corrupt.
Oh, even more so.
And I think once people, it will be a national like awakening aha moment.
Ooh.
And be like, no, like they've been fucking us this entire time.
Maybe,
I think change can happen then.
Maybe that's the Great Awakening.
I think a third party actually, that it has to be like a real honest, it can't be like a third party that wants to do it just for the sake of winning. No, like you actually have to like improve
because
society.
this whole like Kennedy and this, you know,
It was not a real thing.
all that third party stuff, like it's just playing.
Most third parties that have any traction are third parties that wanted to be on one side, couldn't figure it out, and they're like, oh, okay, fine, I'll just be a third party.
No, fuck it, we'll do it live.
The intent has to be the third party.
If you were to choose a current political candidate or a current political figure to lead this third party as it stands today, who would that be?
I think Tucker could do it.
Really?
Yeah. I know some people are like, no, he's a call, but like, I think he's actually somewhat genuine. I actually like him.
No, you do know him personally.
Yeah. And I feel like if he were to take that role, and I say him because if you're going to be a third party candidate, you need like national name recognition. You have to have some authority of idea. And Tucker's unique that he is the one person that knows every single world leader.
He's always laughing in that. Oh, right? Can you imagine Tucker being president of the United States in every picture with every luminary and other, major president of every other country? They're standing there, and he's just like.
If he ran, or if he said he's going to start a third party, he's going to run, I don't think there's many world leaders that are going to be like, no, like we don't like him. They're kind of scared of him. He has so much media power.
He kind of has shaken hands with most of them anyway.
Exactly. He knows all of them.
Yeah.
So you would need someone that's in a similar position to even try to pull it off. I don't think you can have someone that's like from the grassroots, no one's ever heard of. It's just not enough power to go after those two mega parties.
So would you vote for Tucker if he were to start his third party? I feel like we're harkening back.
I would
to
go run it. I would go work in his campaign.
I feel like we've had this conversation before. Yeah.
I think it'd be really interesting. I'm not saying in picking a candidate for president, it's not the most ideal, best person for the job. You also have to pick someone that has actual possibility to win. And he actually has a possibility to win. I don't know if it's like how realistic it is, but he would have national and world recognition. It would make it legitimate day one. And it would take him 3 years to even make a run. He needs to be like, day one, today, I'm going to run for president. I'm sick of both sides. I'm going to do it. The whole country be like, dude, what is he talking about? Why? And he's like, no, the right is corrupt, the left is corrupt. Like, oh, really? He would wake up everyone immediately. But it takes balls to do it. I don't know if he has that.
Well, I like this idea. I just feel like the game is so rigged. So you
would have to do it knowing that the game is rigged against you.
Oh yeah,
and everyone's gonna turn on you. It takes a different type of person.
There's a lot of people who are saying we got Trump and then we got 8 years of Vance.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I've never been a big Vance guy since day one.
Well,
so
he does like the SARS.
Well, he likes the SARS. He's also a Peter Thiel protege. Which I don't love. He was also appointed and chosen by Miriam Edelson, which people never talk about, but that's true. That he was her pick, who happens to be the top donor of Trump.
Yeah, money.
So I get why. I think he's doing well, like as a VP, because people kind of like him. He's like well spoken.
He seems sophisticated.
So I don't hate him because he fills the role well from a figurative.
Yeah. But he's not going to improve things over the next 8 years.
No.
He's just going to keep.
He's not an independent thinker. He's not a leader.
You got it. That's a good way of putting it. He's not a free thinker.
He's not a free thinker. He's not a leader. He's someone that you fill in to help you and be kind of. He's a good lieutenant to have by your side.
I think he's good continuity.
Yeah.
He's just keep it going. Right after Trump, Vance. I did 4 years of solid work. Don't fuck it up.
Correct.
Keep it going.
But I think in order to enact real change in this country and close that gap between the various levels of society, which I think is necessary, the gap is just getting too large. It's getting too large. You have to figure out how to close it, either by bringing the top down or bringing the bottom up. At some point, you have to close the gap. It doesn't matter how it happens, actually, but you have to close the gap. And I don't think that will ever be his mission.
So when I think about Tucker and this whole mind thesis, this hypothesis that we're creating of this third party, I just feel like history, for someone like Tucker, it wouldn't make sense for him to rise. I feel like history in America would be more settled with a pattern or let's just say an Austrian painter. I feel like America is going to get to the point in our history when an Austrian painter will rise up from the ashes of America and will create the next evolution of what America is supposed to be. I don't know if we have any Austrian painters in America currently, but I'll tell you, there was an Austrian painter from years ago who did a world of good for his little country.
Well, he was also funded.
I know. I know.
So he's not organic either.
He wasn't, but when
it's all the same.
You look at Tucker, you could almost kind of say the same thing.
Exactly. No one is organic. It's someone that takes the national attention and shifts that for a greater cause. Well, and that's really it. You need the national attention first. If you have a greater cause, it's really hard to gather the national attention. The easier is to
you
take
need that
someone
media monster behind you.
Yeah, you take the person that has the attention and then you mold him into the leader they need to be. It's really hard to start a leader at the bottom and work him all the way up. That process is just painful. There are so many pitfalls.
Well, they did that successfully with Obama, though.
That's true.
He came out of obscurity.
Well, not obscurity. He has family line issues also.
The lineage, fair enough.
He has
the lineage was the
he was
right
chosen
lineage.
early.
The lineage was the right lineage, but he did pop up out of obscurity, essentially. I mean,
it seemed like to us, he popped out of obscurity. But he was groomed to be in that position.
There's that
from
40.
a very long
There's that 4D
time
chess
ago.
from Matt. Well, it sounds like maybe the Austrian painter wasn't wrong after all.
Or maybe Peter Sang for president.
No, no, stop it, cut that shit off.
Thank you, everybody. See you next week.